Hello and welcome to another video. This is Voorhees Retro 81 and we are doing a Skyrim video response. It's been a while since we've done one of these and I don't do these as frequently as I used to. I'm still hoping that at some point I can swap video responses to me chatting in front of the camera, but that's blooming awkward to sort out at the moment still. I mean, I have done it once obviously. Oh, don't get attacked by a dragon now. No dragon, I'm trying to do a video. So this is a video response to Gull Payne. Hi Gull, hope you're doing well. Always good to hear from you. And he asked, and I believe it was via another YouTuber, but I can't remember who it was, so apologies there. He asked, it's a challenge kind of, like, it's desert island games, but the crux is that you can have they can only be on one system, you have to own them, and you can't pick any like collection compilations for obvious reasons. So for mine, what I've gone with is after much deliberation, the PlayStation 1. I was going to go with the PlayStation 2, but I couldn't quite pick games as easily from that, and some of the games that I definitely would take, they didn't get like distinct releases on their own on the PlayStation 2, sorry. As a for instance, my favourite fighting game of all time, and it's tied with Street Fighter Alpha 3, which entertainingly isn't on this list, but I will explain that a bit later. So my favourite fighting game of all time is King of Fighters 2000, but on the PlayStation 1 that was released in a double pack in the UK with King of Fighters 2001, so that disqualifies me from putting that into the list. Oh, pardon me. And so there were a lot of situations like that where there were like little things that were sitting on compilations that are like my favourite games. Like again, I play the heck out of Elevator Action Returns and Darius Gaiden on the PlayStation 2, but they're both sitting on a compilation disc. So yeah, I went for PlayStation 1 anyhow. And without further ado, the first game I picked for the PlayStation 2 as my Desert Island game is Ridge Racer Type 4. Now again, there was some active debate about this. My favourite Ridge Racers are Ridge Racer Type 4 and Ridge Racer, but Ridge Racer Type 4 has more legs. Basically, there's a lot more things you can do in Ridge Racer Type 4, and if you're going to be stuck with one system on a deserted island, you're probably going to want a game that's got some legs. So Ridge Racer Type 4 it is. I've talked about Ridge Racer Type 4 before, so I won't waffle on about it too much. Brilliant graphics, fantastic soundtrack, amazing handling, absolutely near perfect video game. One of my favourite video games of all time, and probably the game I would say that is closest in my mind to being a perfect game, to be honest. But yeah, so Ridge Racer Type 4 is my first one, and obviously I would be discounting the Ridge Racer High Def demo that comes in some versions. I have that version, so I would only be allowing myself to take the Ridge Racer Type 4 disc. Second is another Namco title. If you've ever hung out with me or checked any of my, or had the opportunity to see some of the stuff I've got stashed away, I am a Namco boy. I love me some Namco. And the second game is Tekken 3. This just edged out Street Fighter Alpha 3 as the fighting game I was going to be taking. And I'll tell you why. It is because I feel like Tekken 3 is much more versatile and replayable. It's definitely the best Tekken game, hands down. And I know there'll be some people who are up in arms for me saying that, but just easily like miles out ahead is my favourite Tekken game of all time. Some of you will laugh that my second favourite Tekken game is Tekken 4, but I know that gets a lot of stick, but I really like the way it went different with the system. But anyhow, Tekken 3 has loads of characters. None of them are kind of duff or difficult to use particularly, so that's quite handy. I think that gives it a lot of legs for the replay. You know, you don't have to play as the same person all the time, and it's not like if you've mastered one way of playing, you can't pick up another, which was pretty much why I took it over Street Fighter Alpha 3. As much as I love Street Fighter Alpha 3, and it is tied basically 3 ways with Tekken 3 and King of Fighters 2000 for my favourite fighter. Some of the characters, the way Street Fighter functions is pretty much you pick a couple of mains and you learn how to play them, and learning how to play them almost like often makes it quite difficult to learn how to play other characters. So in the Street Fighter Alpha 3 I'll play mainly as Karen and Cammy and Ken or Ryu, because everybody knows how to play as Ken or Ryu. Excuse me mate, I'm in the middle of a video. Would you mind sodding off? Clearly you would. That's too bad for you on the Dragonborn, isn't it? Ha ha ha. So yeah, I picked Tekken 3, tons of characters, unlocks, Tekken Ball, not Bowl, Ball, quite good sense of humour, really fun to play with, and the first game that has my Tekken main in it, Xiao Yu. So yeah, it was a no-brainer from a point of view of fighting games there. Finally, and picking up on the adventure game, and indeed, as many of you are aware, I do quite like the odd horror game aspect. I picked the original Resident Evil. Now, many of you know I picked Resident Evil 2 back in the day as my favourite PlayStation 1 game of all time. At least I'm pretty sure I did. It's been a while since I looked at that video, so apologies if I didn't. But I definitely scored it very highly anyway, and it was definitely my favourite Resident Evil. But I have played that game to death, the original PlayStation 1 Resident Evil 2, and at the moment I only have the discs for it. So taking a vaguely realistic desert island type situation into mind, it would be difficult travelling, whereas I have Resident Evil boxed. Secondly though, I'm not as good at Resident Evil, but it's my second favourite of the series, and it's bigger, it's more complex. There is a whole part of it I haven't beaten because I've never beaten it as Chris Redfield. I always sort of get stuck in the middle without any resources. So as such, I feel like there's still a lot more meat on the bone with Resident Evil 1 for me than there is on Resident Evil 2, so I would definitely be taking Resident Evil 1. So yeah, honourable mentions would obviously be Street Fighter Alpha 3, talked about that at length, and yeah, possibly the first Ridge Racer as well, although I kind of feel like that would be pointless taking that, so maybe I'd take like Wipeout 2097 instead, I don't know, as the racer. But yeah, so this was fun to think about, and thanks for bringing it up as a subject, Gull, and I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Take care of yourselves, and peace out.